Well, Andy is a singer in a famous band called Lovely Love. Lovely name, isn't it? He has just received fantastic news from his producer. They're going to have an epic tour around the country. So Andy called all his friends and threw a party to celebrate. Can you tell how many people are in the band? And can you also find all the band members among the guests? Although the room is full of musicians, Lovely Love consists of only 3 people. Take a look at this poster on the wall. There's a photo of Andy, Jessica, who's standing over there, and Bill, he's sitting on the couch. In the middle of the party, Andy's fan came over and asked for an autograph. She also asked Andy a question. What was your dream job when you were younger? Instead of giving her the autograph, Andy drew this rebus and said, "If you want to learn this secret, you have to crack my rebus." Ooh, sounds like it could hurt. Can you help the girl? When he was younger, Andy had a dream of becoming a scientist. Jessica saw this rebus and drew her own. Can you guess her dream job? That's right, she wanted to become a firefighter. And Bill coded his dream job in this rebus. Can you crack it? It's a mechanic. Next day, the band members gathered at a rehearsal studio. Can you tell who plays which instrument? Bill has a tattoo with a guitar on his shoulder, but this doesn't prove that he plays this instrument. In fact, he plays the piano. Take a look at this synthesizer. It has Bill's name written on it. Andy plays the guitar. There's a guitar case behind his back. And Jessica plays drums. She has drumsticks in her hair. Some fans sent Jessica flowers. She put them on a table and went to the bathroom to fill a vase with water. One of the guys decided to prank her. He sprinkled dry food coloring on the flowers. When Jessica returned, she put the bouquet in the vase and sniffed the flowers.
Oh, no.
Her face immediately turned purple. Can you tell who's responsible for this prank? Bill or Andy? Andy. There's some purple paint on his sleeve. The guys got hungry and asked their producer, James, to go get some snacks. In the kitchen, James found the ingredients for something really special: chocolate-covered bananas. While cooking, James noticed a jar with pickles and decided to prank the guys. He shoved small sticks into pickles, gave them a nice chocolate bath, and covered them in sprinkles. Then James served the dessert on a tray. Bill was about to take a bite, but Jessica shouted, "Wait, this is a prank!" How did she guess? All the bananas are curved, while the pickles are suspiciously straight. Finally, the guys put all their stuff inside a trailer and hit the road. Soon, they arrived at the first spot, a big music festival. But the guard at the entrance didn't want to let them in. He asked the musicians to solve his riddle. "I am so delicate that just saying my name will cause me to break. What am I?" Can you guess? It's silence. Then 5 volunteers came up to the guys. There were 4 stages at this festival. Each volunteer was responsible for one of the stages. This means one of the volunteers was fake. Ooh. This lady over there, she's a ghost. She's levitating and doesn't cast a shadow. Ooh. The volunteers offered the guys 2 trays with delicious snacks. Can you spot any differences between these trays? Here they are. There was only 1 minute left before the performance. The guys took their instruments and got ready to go to the stage, but suddenly they realized that the door was locked. They were stuck inside the dressing room. Andy found this note next to the door. He didn't waste a second and cracked the code. They made it to the stage on time. What was the code? The wall stands for 3411, and Samson is 543502. Jessica left her stuff in the dressing room. When she returned, she saw that someone had stolen her backpack. The manager called the police and locked the doors. A police officer arrived and detained 3 suspects. The manicurist said that she had been focused on her work. The cleaner said he had been mopping the hallway and hadn't noticed anyone suspicious. And the hairdresser was too busy taking pictures for her Instagram account. Have you guessed who the thief is? The manicurist. Look at the color of her nail polish. The festival manager arranged an after party and invited the guys to join. The dance floor was full of famous musicians. Andy noticed his idol, Stan, and came up to ask for an autograph. Suddenly, Stan fainted in the middle of the room. Someone had poisoned him. The police questioned 3 suspects. Bill said, "I was talking to Kitty. She's a journalist." Kitty said, "Stan and I have been best friends for ages, and I would never hurt him." And Melanie said, "I was eating my dinner when Stan got sick. I didn't see anything suspicious." Can you guess who's lying? Kitty. Take a look at her bag. She has ruined Stan's portrait on the cover of this magazine. If he were really her friend, why would she do that? In the morning, the musicians went to the next city. On the road, they saw a guy with a cart. A minute later, they noticed another one. Bill said, "Wow, these guys are identical." But Andy noticed 2 differences. Jessica, in turn, found 3 differences. Who was right? Jessica. These are the differences between the men. Sometime later, the guys saw a couple of hitchhikers on the side of the road, and in 5 minutes, they saw a similar couple. Andy noticed 1 difference. Bill said there were 2 differences, and Jessica noticed 3 differences. Who was right? Bill. This guy's backpack is different, and the lady's sneakers differ slightly as well. Finally, the band arrived at their next destination. They noticed a beautiful house on the right side of the road. Suddenly, Jessica pointed at the left side of the road. "Look, this house is absolutely the same." But Bill noticed 3 differences. Andy was sure that the houses had 2 differences. Who is right? Andy. Andy was looking around the town's concert hall when someone locked the door. Andy had 3 ways out, but all of them were dangerous. The first passage was so hot it was impossible to get through. The second passage was freezing, literally. The third passage was guarded by a robot vacuum that was reprogrammed to hunt down humans. What passage should Andy choose? The third passage. The robot might start hunting him, but it's just a cleaner robot. What harm can it cause? Jessica wanted to get into the rehearsal studio, but the door was locked. A note on the wall gave Jessica a hint. Jessica was very smart, so she cracked the puzzle very quickly and unlocked the door. What was the code? Multiply the first and the last number, then multiply the second and third. The code is 2516. After giving an epic concert, the guys finally went backstage to eat. The catering service had prepared 2 identical tables full of delicious dishes. Can you spot 4 differences between these 2 tables? Here they are. The guys rented a cozy apartment for one night. Bill was nagging all the way there, which annoyed Andy and Jessica. So they decided to teach Bill a lesson. They dropped the key to his bedroom into a bucket of water. His task was to get the key out without touching the water or using any tools. And still, that night, Bill slept in his bedroom. How did he get the key? He placed the bucket over a fire. Soon the water boiled away and Bill took the key out, hopefully letting it cool first. Ow! In the morning, the guys hit the road again and reached the next city very quickly. The concert manager took them to a rehearsal studio. They saw a crowd of fans near the entrance. Everyone wanted to get an autograph. There were not only humans. Can you spot zombies among these fans? That's right, there are 3 zombies in the crowd. This guy and this lady over there are pretty obvious. But this guy hiding on the tree is also a zombie. Look at his feet. During the performance, it suddenly got very dark. Someone turned off the lights in the entire building. The police questioned the suspects. The cleaning lady said she had been sitting in her office quietly, talking on the phone with her family. The electrician said, "I was in the bathroom on the 3rd floor when it happened." The concert manager said, "This is a huge money loss for me. Why would I do it?" Who is lying? The electrician. Look at the wall. He's indeed on the 3rd floor, but there's a sign on the toilet door. It's closed for renovation for 2 weeks. Andy got lost backstage. He found 4 doors that led out of the concert hall. But all 4 passages looked suspicious. A hungry monster was hiding behind the first door. A fire was burning behind the second door. The 3rd passage was full of poisonous gas. And there was a room without any windows behind the 4th door. Can Andy get out of the concert hall? He can go through the 4th door. There are no windows there. But no one said it didn't have a door. After the last concert, Andy finally got the courage to invite Jessica on a date. She came to his place and they watched a movie. Then they had a long conversation. Jessica told Andy a lot about her past and about her future plans. Andy went to the kitchen to prepare some snacks. When he returned to the living room, he saw 2 identical women. Both of them claimed to be the real Jessica. How did Andy understand who his girlfriend is? He should ask each of them what they've been chatting about earlier.
Look at the picture very attentively. Can you tell which prisoner is rich? The first one is sewing something. She must be working as a seamstress. She probably isn't that rich. The second one has some pieces of jewelry. But in the second place where the prisoners are, the golden chains don't mean much. The third one is reading quietly and doesn't cause any trouble. That's a rich person's behavior. They usually don't want to attract attention, especially in jail. It was November, but Jasmine already had some bad grades at school. So, her mother, Mrs. Lawrence, grounded her until Jasmine improved her grades. Mrs. Lawrence worked night shifts and had to leave for work. One day, when she returned home, she realized that Jasmine had sneaked out at night to go to a party. How did Mrs. Lawrence understand it? It's fall. The car is parked right under the tree, but unlike their neighbors' cars, it's not covered in leaves. It means Jasmine had just returned home after the night party. Vienna was wandering in a forest and came across a huge and spooky mansion. When she walked in, the door behind her back got locked. It was an old magician's house. He didn't like when strangers visited his mansion. Soon, Vienna saw 3 drinks on the table. The yellow one would allow the girl to live for a month without water or food. The purple one would make her the size of an index finger for an hour. The blue one would give her a lion's strength for half an hour. Which one should she drink? The purple drink. She'll become small and she'll be able to escape through that little cat door. Esme was walking in the forest, but she got lost. Soon, the girl found the witch's house, entered it, petted the cat, and asked if the witch could send her home. The witch had just gotten a new laptop and a 3-digit password. She asked Esme to figure out what it was. Esme made 4 guesses: 357, 902, 907, 954. Obviously, she didn't get it right. The witch gave her a hint. Each of Esme's guesses had 1 correct digit, and it was exactly in the right place. What's the password? The first digit can't be 9, so it's 3. Then, the second and third digits can't be 5 and 7, so the second digit must be 0, and the third one is 4, which means the code is 304. Sailor and Evie were best friends who wanted to spend the winter vacation together. Unfortunately, Sailor's grandmother fell ill, and she had to go to another city to be with her. Evie was missing her friend. Once, she was walking past her empty house. Soon, Evie realized that Sailor had lied to her about the grandma and was actually at home. How did Evie understand it? Look, it's been snowing that day, but there's no snow near Sailor's house. It means that Sailor must be there. Mrs. Rivera was a math teacher grading her students' homework. Halfway through, she came across 2 similar homework sheets. The woman realized that one of the students had copied the work of the other because the mistakes were the same. The sheet on the right is McKenna's, and the left one belongs to Maeve. Can you tell who copied the other's homework? Look, McKenna corrected herself a couple of times, while Maeve's work is exceptionally neat, except for the mistakes. Mrs. Rivera corrected. This means that McKenna was doing her homework by herself, occasionally making typos and mistakes. And Maeve's paper is neat because she just copied McKenna's work. One day, Mrs. York invited some guests to a fancy dinner in her mansion. A couple of teenagers were running around, exploring the house. When Mrs. York went to the basement, she saw that the showcase that contained her jewelry collection was broken. One girl, Hannah, admitted she'd thrown a baseball, and it had accidentally hit the showcase, but the showcase had already been damaged by that time. Can you tell if she's lying? The crack from the baseball must be the one on the right. If the baseball was the first thing to crack the glass, the cracks would stretch to the frame of the showcase, but they only reached the other cracks, which means that the baseball was indeed secondary damage. So Hannah told the truth. Mrs. Jones was working a night shift. Her daughter Venus wanted to invite a friend to sleep over, but Mrs. Jones didn't allow it because it was a school night. When she returned, she realized that the friend had actually visited Venus. How did she understand it? There are 2 sets of plates and cups in Venus's room. It means that she didn't spend the evening alone. Now, how about having more fun? I'll show you some emojis, and you'll have to guess an animated movie. Let's start with an easy one. Which animated movie is it? Yes, it's Sleeping Beauty. Okay, the next one. What's your guess? Of course, it's everyone's favorite, Up. What do you have to say about this one? Animals hanging out in the forest? It's Bittersweet Bambi. Now, off to a girl's absolute obsession. Yes, that's Frozen. Let it go. Let's make it a tiny bit harder for you. It's Sweet Wally. What about the next one? It's Ratatouille. Off to the next one. What's your guess? A movie about a crazy princess with a frying pan and a chameleon? The one and only Tangled. The next one is an oldie but a goodie. It's Monsters, Inc. What can you say about this one? Coco. I'm sure you'd love it if you watched it. Okay, a crazy one for you. Think about it. Joy, sadness, disgust, fear, and anger. That's Inside Out. And the last one's for you. Don't overthink, it's pretty simple. Yes, that's Toy Story. Dakota and Tatum both failed their math test. Their mother grounded them and made them study all weekend. She occasionally walked into the teenagers' room to check on them. Take a look at the girls. Can you tell which one hadn't been studying before her mom walked in? It's Dakota, sitting on her bed reading the math book. But there's no copybook or pen nearby. No one just reads math books. Math is more about writing and doing exercises. Just look at Tatum. Andromeda came to her PE class and told her teacher that, unfortunately, she couldn't participate in class because she had broken her arm. The teacher didn't believe her and told the girl to stop fooling around. Do you think Andromeda tells the truth? Why didn't the teacher believe her? Look, her cast is put over her hoodie. It must be fake. In the middle of the day, the lights in a jewelry store went off for a minute. Once the lights were back, the seller saw that the most expensive diamond had been stolen. There were 3 customers in the store at that time. Desmond, a blind man, said that he couldn't have stolen anything. Cassidy said that while the lights had been off, she'd been standing without moving. Kira said that she'd been trying to find her cell phone to turn on the flashlight. Who stole the diamond? It must be Desmond. He pretends to be blind, but look, he has a camera. He wouldn't need it if he was really blind. Last week, Pandora went to a party without asking her dad for permission. Mr. Pond found out about this and grounded the girl for 2 weeks. There was another party planned for the next weekend, but Pandora had to stay in her room. The morning after the party, Mr. Pond came to his daughter's room and asked what she'd been doing the evening before. She said she'd been painting. Pandora got grounded for another month. Why? There are indeed painting supplies on her desk, but the picture is barely started. Mr. Pond realized that Pandora hadn't been painting for long because she had sneaked out and gone to the party. Another day, another incident. This time, another jewelry store was robbed. 2 of the most expensive wedding rings were stolen. It happened after the store closed, so the main suspects were the cleaning man and security guard, the only people who had the keys to the store. Detective Jane decided to visit both men, look at their houses, and figure out who stole the rings. It must be the security guy. He obviously lives with a girlfriend, and it seems like they want to get married. That's why he stole the rings. Michelle had a birthday party, and she invited several friends. Fleur didn't want to go because she didn't like being around many people. So she lied that her mom had grounded her and made her clean her room. The next day, she invited Michelle to her house to study together and watch a movie in the evening. Michelle agreed. But at Fleur's house, she understood that her friend had lied to her. How? Fleur's room is still messy. If she had cleaned it the day before, it'd be neat now. 3 sisters, Serenity, Autumn, and Polaris, were at a party. They were offered to play a game. If they won, they'd get a good prize. There were 5 hats, 3 white ones and 2 blue ones. Each girl stood in line, one after another, and got one random hat. Serenity could see the colors of both her sisters' hats. Autumn could only see what Polaris was wearing, and Polaris couldn't see any of her sisters. Anyone could speak up and try to guess her hat's color, but it could only be one of the girls. If she got it right, they'd all win. After a while, Polaris guessed the color of her hat correctly. How did she do it? If Serenity saw blue hats, but she didn't speak up. One of the hats she saw, Autumn realized that. River had a blue hat, has a white one. But which means Harris realized that and said, "It's vacation finally. You can buy a ticket to an unforgettable island full of entertainment. The helicopter takes you there. Unfortunately, you won't be able to relax much because you need to solve puzzles in addition to having fun. And at the end of the video, count how well you went through it. You're going to have fun all day. Challenging riddles require concentration and attention, but you want to solve them in a relaxed way this time. Enjoy." The first thing you do is go to a beach party. Sun, ocean, hot, white sand. You take a soda and go dancing. All of a sudden, the music stops. You ask the DJ what happened. "Someone pulled the wire from the speakers," she says. You go behind the stage and see 5 cords. All of them have different colors. 2 of them need to be inserted into the speakers. Which ones? Hurry up, save the party. Red and green. There are marks with corresponding colors in the left corner of each speaker. The party goes on. You're tired and hungry, so you go to a restaurant. There's a huge buffet with hot dishes. You take 2 sandwiches and sit down at the table. After a delicious meal, you decide to have some fresh fruit for dessert. You come up to the table with bananas, apples, pineapples, and kiwis. Some of these fruits are not fresh. Which of them, and why is that? All the fruit trays are almost empty, but there are a lot of kiwis left. People don't take them since they're not very fresh. After lunch, you go to the beach. The sand is so hot that you can fry eggs on it, so you put on your shoes. You see a group of people playing volleyball. You want to join them, get closer, but the game field is empty. Was it a mirage, or did the people leave the spot so quickly that you didn't notice? What do you think? It was a mirage, since there are no footprints in the sand. The sun is hot, and you decide to go into the jungle to hide in the shadows. You go out into a wide clearing and see several people sitting in the lotus position. It's a meditation session. People relax with their eyes closed and do not see that you've come. You carefully sit down next to them and realize that something is wrong with all these people. What is it exactly? They don't just sit, they're floating a couple inches off the ground. Who are they? You get scared and run away from this place. You run through the jungle and see 3 roads. One is littered with broken glass. There are plants with thorns on the second road, and you see hot coals on the third one. Which one will you choose? Actually, you can go everywhere. You put on your shoes on the beach, remember? In the very center of the island, you find a big old house. Its roof is destroyed and the windows are broken. But there's music coming from the building. You look inside and see a group of people in raincoats dancing to techno. You join the party and notice that each person has long fangs peeking out of their mouth. The dancers turn to you and look unfriendly. At first, you get scared, but then you realize these people are only pretending to be vampires. Fangs and cloaks are part of the masquerade. How do you know they're not vampires? The roof of the building is destroyed. The sunlight gets inside. The vampires should be afraid of it. You keep dancing, and at that moment, you get terrified. The dancers aren't vampires, but they're not humans either. Why do you think so? There's a mirror on the wall, and only you are reflected in it. You run out of the building and go through the jungle. White pigeons fly past you, and in the distance you can hear people's voices. You make your way through the bushes and find yourself at a wedding ceremony. People are sitting on the chairs. A bride, a groom, his friend, and 2 bridesmaids are standing in front. Everything seems fine, but then you realize that one of these people is an alien. Who? The bride. You can see that she has 3 hands. It doesn't scare you too much. After the ceremony, the party begins. You speak with the guests, take drinks and snacks. An old man gets on the stage to deliver a speech. He says that he has a gift to the newlyweds, an elixir that makes a person younger by 5 years and prolongs life. The same elixir is inside every drink, and everyone can drink it. All the guests rush to the table and grab glasses. Someone drinks 2 glasses at once, someone 5 to 6 glasses in a row. Someone quickly drinks only 1. And among all the people, there is an old lady. She slowly drinks her cocktail and becomes a little younger. Why did the elixir affect her but not the other guests? The elixir was in ice cubes. The old lady drank for a long time, and the ice in the glass had time to melt. You leave the party and continue exploring the island. Ahead you can see a tunnel with a warning sign. Beware the phantom inside. A guy and a girl come up with you. They offer to run through the tunnel to check if there are really ghosts there. So it won't be scary, you all run holding hands with each other. The girl is in the middle. It's cold and slippery inside the tunnel. You can't hear anything. You're approaching the exit and finally got out. It was a little scary, you say. "It's good that I was in the middle," said the girl. "Me too. I wasn't afraid," says the guy. At this point, you realize there was a phantom inside the tunnel. How did you figure that out? Three people ran through the tunnel, and only one could be in the middle, the girl. Whose hand was the guy holding? You get scared and leave this place. Evening. You go back to the hotel and see that it's on fire. There's a fire on your floor. You run inside. Fire is everywhere. You have two valuable things that you want to take away. A small safe with documents and money, and a laptop with your work. You need to choose one thing. Take the computer. Most safes can withstand high temperatures, but a laptop is unlikely. You can find your safe after the fire. You've got a different room on the 10th floor. It's spacious with an ocean view. You're about to go to bed, but someone is knocking on the door. It's the administrator. She says there's a snake in your room, but you need to find it. Look around and find the reptile. Do you see those beaded curtains behind the second room? Among the beads, you can notice the outline of a snake. You release the snake into the jungle, return to your hotel, and notice footprints on the parquet floor. Someone was here and wanted to steal something. You call the administrator and tell her what happened. She has already found 3 suspects, and you need to guess which one of them broke into the room. There are 2 guys wearing shoes and a barefoot girl. Who will you choose? The girl couldn't leave these footprints. The guy who's standing next to her has soaking wet clothes on. His feet are also wet, but he has put on his sandals to hide them. The footprints in the room were wet. The second guy's clothes are dry. The girl's clothes are dry too, which means the guy wearing wet clothes got into your room. You can't fall asleep in the new room. It's already 3 a.m. and you decide to take a walk on the beach. Suddenly, you hear some noise. A beautiful girl is standing outside the window. She's smiling and looking at you. At first, you smile back, but then you pick up your stuff and quickly run out of the room. You call the administrator and say that you won't stay in this hotel any longer. Why did you do that? Your room is on the 10th floor. The girl looked at you outside the window, and you got scared. You can't sleep until morning and decide to leave this island. You sit on the sand and wait. A helicopter arrives and lowers a rope ladder. You're about to climb it, but at this moment, another helicopter arrives. It has the same rope ladder too. Now you need to choose the right helicopter. Take a closer look at the pilot of the first helicopter. It's an alien. You get into the second helicopter and fly away. The first one turned out to be a spaceship. Your vacation has come to an end, which means it's time to see what you've achieved. 0 to 4 points. Try to solve more logic puzzles and you'll be able to do better. Or maybe you just decided not to strain yourself too much and relax on this vacation. 5 to 8 points. Not bad. The party and the celebration atmosphere didn't dull your attentiveness and resourcefulness. But you can do better. 9 to 12 points. You were able to relax because you not only had fun, but also trained your brain. 13 to 15 points. You can quickly solve logic riddles and find a way out of any problematic situation. But don't forget to rest and relax your mind.